Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Pre-Accident Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Conklin. How are you today? I hope you're good. So, marvelous podcast for today. So, get excited because I actually think this one's kind of this is a big deal podcast. And a lot of, we don't have a lot of small deal podcasts. Pretty much everyone that's on the podcast, I think, is a perfect person to have on the podcast because everybody's got a story to tell. This one's really interesting and kind of remarkable. So I just did an assignment with the guys at ConocoPhillips, and that is they wanted us to go down and look at an operation in Qatar, LNG operation, liquefied natural gas operation. And so, it's going to be great. Get to hang out with friends and do good work, and ConocoPhillips is a remarkable company, and they've done great things. And so I had no idea what to expect. You probably wouldn't either, but that's fine. Not knowing is a better way to go into a situation than knowing, because I don't have any preconceived notions. I don't have any biases other than my normal biases that I always carry around. I'm just there to learn and suck in and meet people and just see what happens. And what was interesting is that what we had to say about safety and human performance and sort of moving away from traditional views of kind of enforcement and outcomes to more contemporary views of seeing safety as a capacity really resonated, not just with the folks that were from the United States that were working at ConocoPhillips, but in fact with their hosts, the Qatari people and the gas company they run, and the gigantic operation that they have to actually provide LNG to the world. And I was shocked, happily so, stunned maybe is a better word, that the message I was delivering, the timing seemed to be almost perfect for that message. And so here I am, far away from home, far away from home, in a hotel that doesn't serve eggs. I'll tell you about that later, or maybe I already have. Working with an organization that's hungry to understand how to see the world differently and how to take what they've done, which is actually quite successful, and move it to that next level. It's amazing, you guys. It's exactly the same problems and challenges that we have in our companies, just far away and completely in a different culture. And it was amazing. It was super interesting to see. And out of that, I got to meet with the chief operating officer for health, safety, environment, and quality, Khalid Hemaidi, who was this remarkable, forward-thinking leader who was very, very, very open to being told that in order to improve, they had to change some of the paradigms that had sort of taken them to where they've gotten to before. And it was funny because the first meeting I had with him, Khalid says to me, "We're really learning to embrace the red and question the green." Well, I knew when he said that's a Hopkins phrase, and that's a beautiful, beautiful way to think of safety. I mean, I can't even think of a better way to think of safety. And I knew that I was in the presence of people who had been thinking about this journey, and that this was not the first dip of the toe. This was actually the time to change. And the company itself is in sort of a cultural transition. Two big companies are combining to become one even bigger company. And their biggest fear is that they don't know what they don't know, and they have to know what they don't know. And so embracing the red and questioning the green became a theme for this entire week. And I have to tell you guys, and you know this if you're listening, if you're going to go work with a company that's starting on this journey and that's your going into place, that's the starting part of the discussion, you know it's going to be a great week. Tremendous food, incredible hospitality. Did I say the food was tremendous? The food was tremendous. Every meal, there were hundreds of thousands of plates. It was all I could do to roll my fat butt out of the chair and stand up and walk someplace. But I did it. I came, I ate, I conquered. It was great. And what we started in Qatar with Qatar Gas was really a discussion. And that's what we're going to share with you. So take a moment and listen carefully to what Khalid has to say to us, because he's going to share a lot about what they're thinking and where they are. And I know you're going to love this. This is really valuable. It's valuable because you'll learn from it, but it's also valuable to know that the world is a small place and we all share the same problems. Imagine if you had 74 different nationalities and at least that many languages represented on your site. Imagine the challenges of running safety. Here we go. Sit back and listen. This is Khalid Al-Hemaidi and his discussion on safety and change and the new view.
Thank you, Todd. My name is Khalid Al-Hemaidi. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Health, Safety, Environment and Quality at Qatar Gas. I've been in this business for almost 24 years now. I'm not that old.
So you're on a journey, and you guys have been on a journey for a while. And the journey that you've been on, the story that you tell about that journey, is a journey that I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast are going to think about. You're in a position where you do lots of high-risk work with a quite multinational population of workers who are almost half and half short service long-term, with a very, shall we say, not aggressive, but a very involved shareholder group. So that's really put you in a position where you manage high-risk safety at a much different level. What have you learned about managing the kind of safety you manage?
Well, looking at over the past 20 years, the legacy Qatar Gas and legacy Ras Gas, they've been extremely successful in our business, in LNG. However, we managed to improve, and we've been stagnant for a while. Similar to most international companies. I think over time, as part of the learning organization, you seek for opportunities to improve. But then you stall. You feel that no matter what you do, the performance doesn't really change much. And the gap as you are approaching to zero incident, it seems extremely difficult to close that gap. So, and part of our initiatives is inviting speakers, international speakers like yourself, on annual basis. And I remember, I think that was more than 10 years ago, 11 years, I think it was 2007, when we had Professor Andrew Hopkins. And this is the first time when we hear the concept of chronic unease and appraising the red and questioning the green. Because the way we look at our KPIs, people, they're not willing to receive bad news and people are even reluctant to communicate bad news. So it was quite a paradigm shift for us in terms of how do we view bad news and how do we look at them as a learning opportunity. And this has been a journey. It should be part of your DNA in the organization is not to judge people or judge failures very quickly, and rather than trying to understand what went wrong and trying to understand the context, try to understand the data you have before you move forward. And this is, to us, I think it's very important in our safety culture and our philosophy and our approach to safety, or in all parts of our business. Is yes, we don't like bad news. We don't like to be in the red. However, we need to understand it and try. We're not shy to be transparent. And I think part of that also having a global partnership with multiple shareholders really did give us the competitive edge. And we have access, international companies, they can compete globally. But when it comes to safety, it's totally different. We really collaborate and we have one common goal. So we really don't compete in safety. We support each other. So that really helped us to have access to global organization and reach out and see what others are doing. And this is really the beauty. To us, we are well positioned to look at international companies and see what they do and compare and customize the global best practices to suit our specific fit for risk, basically, to suit our specific needs. And but are we satisfied? I don't think we are. We eagerly anxious to learn and continue to develop. And this is our journey. We will never be satisfied.
What surprised you on this journey? What have you really been surprised by? You've got a lot of deep experience in the field, a highly complex operation, pretty good reach globally. I mean, you're at the top of the game. What surprised you as a senior leader managing this organization? Where's your learning coming from?
This is a very interesting question, I think. Looking at the new Qatar Gas, we have 74 different nationalities. And to many people, this could be a serious challenge or a weakness. But we really look at it as a strength. Because everyone brings in a lot of different backgrounds, different experiences. So the dynamics of introducing change, I think people we are living change. And the adaptability within the organization to change or sharing is tremendous. And to me, this is when at the beginning we thought that could be a serious challenge, but honestly, it's that blend is one key contributing factor to our success.
So, in that same vein, what advice would you give other organizations that have a highly multicultural population, lots of balance between contractor and kind of regular employee and high risk work? What hints can you give them? What have you guys learned that you think are the strong, sort of powerful forces you carry into that? I know that management of change is important, and I'm watching you actually do that. But what else would make a difference?
Okay, I think challenges to the industry are very common. We have similar incidents. We learn from each other globally, no doubt. But I think we need to look internally and try to understand the strength and what our people can contribute to the whole process of being effective. When it comes, for example, to our approach to investigating an incident, I think it's important to reach out to those who are working at the working level and try to understand the context and where are the opportunities for improvement. It's not about. I think engineers are they like to think in a structured way, cause and effect approach, or what if scenario approach. But I think we need to look differently in terms of the collective, the team, or the context. How are we conducting our activities day in, day out? That will give you a different perspective of the challenges at the working level. So I think this is one key area we are putting a lot of effort to understand the human performance and reaching out to the working level as they are the subject matter expert at their specific area. And we have procedures, we have global practices or safe work practices, but yet how effective they are. And unless we complete that dialogue with the working level, we will not be effective at all.
So what's the future look like for you guys? What'll Qatar Gas's safety and health program look like in 5 years?
It's what we are really after is a sustainable performance. It's not a one-off objective as to reach. We could be excellent next year, but the year after we're not so. So it's how do we ensure our barriers or safeguards are continuously effective, and we have where we are today. I think we've answered the two major questions when it comes to do we know our hazards? Do we know the barriers, if they are in place or not? But how do we ensure those barriers remains healthy? This is the challenge ahead. And this is all our efforts will be on sustainable HSE performance.
Any final thoughts, any hints? The rest of the world's listening, and it's a good chance to say it.
Well, final thought is around the learning team. I think this is, to me, this is new learning, really, to me personally, in terms of how do we look at investigations instead of conducting the typical conventional approach of investigation. Continue doing that. However, look at learning opportunities and look at how do you really establish a learning team, try to address the issue, not the symptoms. And we're still, this is something new. We're still digesting this approach, concept, and hopefully we can share with you in the near future the outcome of our exploration. So thank you, Todd.
Okay, what's your gut instinct on that? I'd be curious to know what you're thinking. That was really special. I got invited up to. So he's the chief operating officer for HSE&Q. I want to say ESH&Q, Health, Safety, Environment, and Quality. So I went into his office and sat on the nice couches, and they brought some incredible coffee because that's how they do it. And there was a thing of chocolates. It was really nice. But to me, the part that impressed me was not the office or the coffee or the chocolates, was his willingness to have this discussion with us, with the people who listen to this podcast. I mean, it was pretty much no holds barred. And there's a couple things that I think are worth pointing out. One, to me, is the emphasis on sustainability. And it became really obvious then in a site that complex and that large, with that much going on culturally and from an employment standpoint, that they realized quite profoundly that sustainability had to really be, as he said, a part of their DNA. And so they build systems with an eye towards how this system will perform for the long term. And they're very curious in becoming a learning organization, how they can build sustainability for a learning organization into that learning organization. And that's a really interesting conversation. Because, as with most companies, the enemy of getting better is being good. And so they're not bad. I mean, they're actually quite good. This wasn't really a discussion about being safe. This was a discussion about the next layer of being safer and how that translated into moving to that next level of performance. And they're starting to notice, and that's why the sustainability question became a big question, that there's not a lot of difference between quality and production and big R reliability, machine reliability, production reliability, and cursive R, which is safety reliability and high reliability in their organization. And they deal with a lot of risks. So the journey's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to check in with them again. And I feel really certain in saying this, I think we'll have the opportunity to do so, because I want to see how they think about these new ideas and how they put their notion of sustainability around that, because I think it'll be worth watching. The other thing is their desire to become smarter or a learning organization. They're very hypersensitized, and I get this in their industry in LNG, and I kind of get it geographically. that you can really become focused on what you have and not focus on the bigger picture on what else is going on there. And so that ability to freely exchange information around operations and safety, I'm quite certain they're not as interested in exchanging, competitive information or production numbers, but around safety and reliability, they're really willing to give everything they have and to absolutely learn and listen to anybody that's got something to share with them. So that's a pretty important thing to notice as well. This was a it just was really fun. It was a great opportunity. What a wonderful human being, and what a great host. I just had a great time. Mostly, as with most trips I go on, I feel like I learned more than I taught, but I guess that's an okay way to be, because that makes it super valuable for me. And out of this, I brought lots and lots of information that just made me feel like I knew more. The world is a bigger place than I thought it was, and a smaller place than I thought it was at the same time. And that makes it kind of worthwhile. It makes the journey kind of fun. So that is the podcast for today. Thanks for being a part of that. If you want to know more or sort of dig deeper on this, we can certainly hook you up with people to talk to and learn from. But mostly just the opportunity to have this conversation, in my mind, was worth every second we spent doing it. So that's good. It's always fun spending time with you on the pod. And we're doing pretty good work. I'm pretty proud of you. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm pretty proud of you. Thanks for being a part of it. Listen in, hang around. There's lots coming up. Many, many great things on the horizon. Tell your friends, subscribe, rate us on iTunes, do all that stuff. But mostly, keep listening. That's what matters. It's really just you and I. So until then, my friends, learn something new every single day. I bet you did today. Have as much fun as you possibly can. And for goodness sakes, special thanks to Cut Our Gas for allowing me the opportunity to do this podcast. Be safe.